Let's talk about Wyoming. The Cowboy State is one of the most interesting states for people looking to relocate. It has a lot going for it, but like all states, it ain't for everyone. And that's what today's video is all about. 15 reasons why Wyoming might not be your dream state. And that's okay. This video is created to let outsiders in on some information they might need to know before they decide Wyoming is their next landing spot. Basically, information the tourism department and a realtor might not be proactively letting you in on. Got it? Get it? Good. Let's take a look. Number 15, wind therapy. Forget your fancy salon blowouts. The Wyoming wind will give you a free and often unwanted hairstyle every single day. Embrace your crazy hair or invest in some industrial strength hairspray. Those are your two options. Wear a hat maybe, that's your third option. Have you ever been doing 70 on the interstate and stick your head out the window and feel the wind on your face? Now imagine that standing still on your porch. That's Wyoming wind. The wind in Wyoming is legendary, but it's still only the second windiest state in the US. With an average wind speed of 21.9 miles per hour, Alaska ranks as the country's windiest state, but Wyoming is right behind it with an average wind speed of 21.5 miles per hour, making Wyoming the wind capital of the lower 48 states. Number 14, wildlife encounters. Yellowstone National Park isn't just a tourist attraction. It's your backyard if you're living in the Cowboy State. Be prepared to share your morning jogs with a moose or have a staring contest with a pronghorn antelope. This is something you should be aware of. Obviously, dangerous animal encounters are very, very rare, but there is that possibility. Here's a list of some of the animals you have to worry about when you're in Wyoming. Rattlesnakes, bison, grizzly bears, black bears, wolves, moose, and elk. And if you don't know, elk are freaking huge. I'm a city boy. Grew up in Redondo Beach, California. First time I saw a male elk, it scared the crap out of me. It's like the size of a moose, but more muscular and scarier looking antlers. They also have mountain lions up in the hills, which is also where you'll find the wolves and the grizzly bears. Rattlesnakes are the ones that you have the best chance of seeing or having an encounter with. After that is bison, but that's really just because tourists go to Yellowstone and decide they need a selfie from 3 inches away from a bison's head. In case you don't know, bison consider that rude, and they will throw you 12 feet in the air with their head. And if you're lucky, they'll stop there. If you're not lucky, they'll probably come over and step on you a couple times. Number 13, extreme weather training. Yep, you're going to get some weather training if you're living in Wyoming. Things change really quick. Forget your weather app. In Wyoming, you'll experience all 4 seasons in a single day. From scorching summer sun to blizzards that could bury a small town. I know a whole family that lives in Wyoming, and I was in the Army with one of the guys. Did this video a couple years ago when I was talking to him about Wyoming. He brought up the weather. He goes, you get used to it, but still, he's lived there his whole life. You still wake up some days in the morning, look at what's going on outside. You're all, are you kidding me? It was warm yesterday. Now my car has to be shoveled out. Being right there with the Rockies and the serious wind they got coming through Wyoming, the weather does change drastically and often. Hawaii's probably the only state that has weather shifts more extreme than Wyoming. Number 12, no small talk. People in Wyoming, and this is kind of a country thing, they don't have a lot of time for small talk with people they're not really familiar with. In the South, it's a different story. But when you get up to North Dakota, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, it's a little bit different. Now, they're friendly for the most part, it's just they don't make small talk. And if they do make small talk, you can forget discussing the latest celebrity gossip or political scandal. In Wyoming, you'll bond over conversations about cattle prices, hunting stories, and unpredictable weather. Number 11, a different culture. You'll find as this list goes on, and even more so when you get there, it's a little bit different. Forget art galleries and Broadway shows. In Wyoming, you'll experience the rich culture of rodeos, county fairs, and cowboy poetry slams. Yes, it's a thing. Number 10, shopping therapy. Forget sprawling malls and designer boutiques. In Wyoming, you'll find unique treasures at local craft fairs, antique stores, and maybe a taxidermy shop or two. They're really light when it comes to malls compared to most other states. Like I said, they have, for the most part, a very rural state. They have a few cities, and their cities really aren't that big. So you're not going to find mega malls and things like that. You're going to maybe find a few small malls, and if you're living outside of the city, you're going to be ordering a lot of stuff on Amazon or going to places like craft fairs and antique stores. This was more of a problem in the past, but now you could have just about anything delivered. But some people still like that shopping therapy. You know, they go do a little retail therapy, relax, do some shopping. That's not as much a thing here in Wyoming. Now, a lot of you are saying, well, why is that a reason not to move there? Trust me, that is a reason for a lot of people. Just because you don't see it as a thing doesn't mean everybody else doesn't. Number 9, entertainment. Forget theme parks, major league sports, and concert venues. In Wyoming, you'll find entertainment in nature's wonders like geysers, hot springs, and breathtaking mountain ranges. When it comes to the sports teams, forget cheering for professional sports teams. In Wyoming, you'll root for your local high school rodeo team or college wrestling squad. They do have college football, college baseball, and all that good stuff. It's just some people really enjoy going to a Major League Baseball game or an NBA game or an NHL or NFL game. Now, there's other states where this is the case, but Wyoming's so far away from any that you might want to see. It's kind of weird. The closest teams they have, you'll have to go down south to Denver to find the Rockies, the Broncos, and the Nuggets in the NBA. Salt Lake City, again to the south in Utah, has a basketball team, the Jazz. But if you go north, you're hitting Montana or Canada, which Montana doesn't have anything. Nebraska, South Dakota, or North Dakota doesn't have anything, and Idaho either. The absolute closest you'd be to Major League Sports is if you lived in Cheyenne, you could drive down to Denver, an hour and a half away. Yeah, so as far as professional sports, they don't have much, and yes, that does bother some people. Now, this is the part of the video where I reinforce something. These aren't reasons by themselves not to move someplace. They're just things you should know about. Will the fact that they don't have a professional sports team stop someone from moving to Wyoming? Probably not, but if they're on the fence about moving there already, that might send them over the edge. Number 8, wardrobe malfunctions. Cowboy hats are not a fashion statement, they're a survival tool in most of Wyoming. Be prepared to embrace the Wyoming tuxedo, that's jeans and a flannel shirt, as your daily attire. Yeah, this isn't a place for high fashion. Again, they have some small cities, but for the most part, it's rural, so that's what you're going to find. People wearing denim, people wearing flannel. So if you're coming from Southern California, where you normally wear a t-shirt, shorts, and some sandals, this might be a little bit of a culture shock for you. Again, will this stop someone from moving there? No, it's just something you should know about before you do move there. Number 7, your caffeine fix. You can forget the trendy coffee shops and pumpkin spice lattes right now. Wyoming is largely rural, like we've already discussed, and it doesn't have a bunch of mini malls, so you'll probably have a better chance of getting your caffeine fix from a strong cowboy coffee brewed over an open fire. Really, it's not that drastic, but you're not going to find a coffee place on every corner. They do have them in the big cities, but nothing compared to Seattle, Portland, Los Angeles, San Francisco, or even Denver. That, for a lot of Americans these days, is a daily ritual, going to get your coffee. It's not as much the coffee's that good, it's just the act of doing it. And if you move to Wyoming and you're outside of town, Starbucks is kind of hard to come by. Number 6, public transportation. Now, since they don't have a lot of people, they really don't have a need for a lot of public transportation options. Forget subways, buses, and taxis. In Wyoming, you'll rely on your trusty steed, your pickup truck, for transportation. Or your feet. In some of the smaller towns, yeah, people still ride their horse into town. It's not a very common thing, but it does happen, which is very interesting in this day and age. And that's the really small towns. Don't give me a bunch of grief. I live in Cheyenne. I've never seen anyone do that unless it was part of the rodeo. Number 5, driving skills. Forget parallel parking and rush hour traffic. In Wyoming, you'll navigate winding mountain roads, icy highways, extreme wind gusts, and the occasional tumbleweed crossing. There's another thing you gotta worry about in Wyoming. You gotta worry about this in every state, but Wyoming a little bit more. Drunk driving. They come in 4th in the nation for the most drunk drivers per capita. Montana's first, South Dakota is 2nd, Texas is 3rd, then you got Wyoming. Now, in 2018, Wyoming was number 2. So they've gotten better. I'm really against drunk driving. I have this thing about it. This beautiful girl I went to high school with was killed by a drunk driver when we were sophomores. It's stuck with me since then. I've even told my kids, I'll bail you out of a lot of things, but not drunk driving because that's just you being stupid. Number 4, social distancing. Forget crowded subways and bustling city streets. In Wyoming, you'll measure distance in miles, not blocks. Your closest neighbor might be a grazing bison, not a nosy Karen. Saying Wyoming doesn't have a lot of people is an understatement. When it comes to population, they have 576,000 residents. That's as of 2020 census. That ranks them last place out of 50 states when it comes to population. When it comes to size, as in area, they're ranked 10th in the nation. So when you look at their population density, they're ranked 2nd from last. Alaska's the only one that has fewer people per square mile. Wyoming has 5.97 people per square mile. Their neighbor to the south, Colorado, is ranked 37th with 56 people per square mile. California has about 250 people per square mile, and the absolute most densely populated state would be New Jersey with 1,260 people per square mile. And just so you know, Alaska has the fewest people. They have 1.3 people per square mile. This is a pretty insane number. Wyoming had 576,000 people at the 2020 census. Right now it's like 584, but that's not official yet. So anyway, 576,000 people, and they have 97,000 square miles. Alaska has 733,000 people and 570,000 square miles. Yeah, so you're not going to have to worry about people being in your business because unless you live in one of the cities, you're not going to have really close neighbors. And even in the cities, it's not like they're stacked on top of each other with apartment buildings everywhere that are, 6 stories high, 10 stories high. Number 3, the nightlife sucks. Sort of. If you're used to like New York City nightlife, Miami, Los Angeles, Las Vegas, yeah, Wyoming's gonna be a little light when it comes to the nightlife. But not everyone wants to live that life in New York, Miami, Los Angeles, or Las Vegas. Some people do just like going out someplace and having a few beers with their friends. And that's the type of nightlife you will get in Wyoming. So like I said at the beginning of this video, it's not for everyone, but it is for a lot of people. So keep that in mind. Things are gonna slow down a little bit if you move to Wyoming from a major city. Number 2, career opportunities. Forget the corporate ladder and corner office. In Wyoming, you might find yourself working as a ranch hand, oil field worker, or a park ranger. When it comes to jobs and careers in Wyoming, there's not a lot of options. It's not like they've got some big tech scene. They have some startups and things like that, but they're not killing it when it comes to tech, automation, anything like that. They have some manufacturing, they have a lot of mining, they have a lot of ranching, obviously, rural type stuff, agriculture, and then a whole bunch of hospitality, hotel people, things like that. So Wyoming is actually a perfect place if you're bringing a job with you. Let's say you work remotely. Get yourself a couple acres of land, good internet connection, you are golden. All right, before we get to number 1, if you're thinking about moving to Wyoming or any state, there's a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They can get you in touch with a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, on to number 1. And number 1, escape from reality. In Wyoming, you'll truly disconnect from the hustle and bustle of modern life and embrace a simpler, more rugged existence. You'll find peace and tranquility in the vast landscapes and connect with nature in ways you never thought possible if you're coming from a major city. Now, the reason this was number 1, because it's the number 1 reason given when people leave Wyoming after they've been there, let's say a year or 2. It was just too slow of a lifestyle. For a lot of people, like myself, that's not a big deal. I enjoy a nice slow-paced life. But to a lot of people, they need that sound of traffic. They need people around them. They need to stand in line for coffee. All right, that's today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you got some information out of it. Now go out, have a great day, be nice to each other.